Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is BC, another episode of Supreme Being for you. The podcast continues. I know that you enjoyed the extra episode that we did on Sunday. I may start doing it consistently now where I do 3 episodes a week. The downloads are really going up a lot on the podcast, and I appreciate the support. As always, go to the new website link below, get on the email list, schedule your free strategy call for those of you who have been listening for a while and you're really looking to take your game to the next level. Get on our Discord. And lastly, if you're interested in eXp Realty, take a look at the link that we've set below and the Icon Ninjas opportunity that we have for you. So let's begin. What I want to talk about today is something that I've used a lot in my real estate and professional career. I've used it a lot in my athletic career, and I just think it's something that people really need to pay attention to, the perspective and also the actions that are taken around this, okay? So the vast majority of what we believe that we need, if we're going to talk, again, athletics, or if we're going to talk about our career, it's always like in the moment, right? Somebody comes to me who's an entrepreneur. What do I need to do now, right? Do I need to make phone calls, the emails, the marketing, this and that, right? Same thing with the athlete. Okay, we're on the court. What are we going to do? What are the drills, right? And there's so much emphasis on now, which of course is important. You need to drill and practice and do what you need to do. And just like in the business world, you need to work, right? Now, I'm bringing this up because we need to understand that the vast majority of your time and the game, and when I say the game, I don't mean the actual like basketball game or football game. I'm talking about the game of life. The actual game, the vast majority of it is spent not in your career, right? If you work 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day, that means more of your time is being spent out of work than in work. And I'm bringing that up because I still see a lot of people not viewing it from this perspective and realizing that the time before and after you work or you drill in your sport is as important, if not more important, than the time that you actually are doing it because of the time investment. If you're spending more time outside of what you do, it means it's way more important. Even if you're a workaholic and it's like down the middle, or slightly even in favor of the time that you work, it's still equally as important because of the time, right? So I look now, like I'm doing a lot of calisthenics, and man, I am sore and tired and hurting in places that I never even knew existed. And I'm 36 years old, ex-professional athlete, right? So it's interesting because I'm finding that I'm able to have more longevity in this, see quicker gains, even at age 36, progress and be more consistent because before and after, I've been paying attention to that for a long time. My recovery's on point. My diet and my lifestyle are on point, which are before and after, right? There's a lot of pieces that I've put in place so I can maximize my time in the calisthenics, but also outside of it, I'm doing the right things in order to make sure that both sides are cleared. Both sides are in check, right? And very quickly, when you start looking at it from that perspective, it becomes a little simpler for you to implement the basic things that you need to implement, or at the very least, keep it top of mind so that you're aware, right? The person who comes to me, let me give you some examples of how people are very erroneous when they do this and some of the classic mistakes that they make. Like the people who work out at the gym, but then their diet and lifestyle is crap. They don't get enough sleep. They drink alcohol all the time. They eat absolute garbage. Right after the gym, they'll go to Burger King and be like, oh, I earned this meal, and all the nonsense that they say. Or the people who do a lot of mobility work, meaning they go to the gym for an hour or two to open up their hips, stretch their hamstrings and all this stuff. And then at home or when they're not in the gym, they sit down all day. Well, if you have an hour or two of mobility and you're sitting on the couch for 10 hours a day, your body's still going to be a disaster. It'll be better, of course, than the person who doesn't do any mobility work, but it's not going to be much better because your overall life and the vast majority of the time is not spent being mobile. Okay, same thing with the business person. If you're on point when you work and you take all the actions that you need to make, but off the clock, you're not studying, you're not getting enough sleep, you don't have rituals, you're not practicing, you're not role playing, you're not educating yourself even more, you're not becoming more of an expert in your field, well, your results are going to be very limited. And someone who's well-rounded is going to kick your ass over and over and over. And a lot of times when I look at two individuals, right, who supposedly, hey, these two came in at the same time, they're working the same amount of hours, they're doing what they're supposed to do, both of them, one of them's getting the result and one of them isn't, I immediately know Not always, but the vast majority of the time, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, what they're doing outside of the workplace is what's causing that difference in the success of one and the lack of success in another one. And very quickly, I find out the other one is waking up early, right? Taking care of themselves physically so that they're mentally sharper, being more mindful of their diet. And the other one is just like, well, I mean, I'm showing up for work. I mean, that's all I got to do. They say 90% of success is showing up, which, by the way, is stupid. No, it's not. I don't know who made that up, but that's stupid. Stop saying that. It's BS. Right? So this angle pops up in that example, right? There's plenty of people who, again, a lot of them claim to take the action, but they don't. But let's say people are taking the action. Well, what are you doing when you're not in those moments of the action, in those couple hours where you're hitting the phones, doing your marketing, or doing what you're supposed to do? And this becomes very clear to people after a while, because when they make these changes outside of that focus, outside of the time in that thing versus outside of it, man, it becomes very clear to them what they're doing wrong. Oh, man, you know what? Like the people who tell me, dude, I just don't get enough sleep. Well, of course that's going to wreck you, man. You need your sleep, especially those of you that are like me that are athletes and you push yourself a lot physically and mentally. But especially if you're really pushing yourself physically, you need your sleep. And I got 2 fucking cats that are both right here that, man, I even have to be smart. Like right before they go to sleep, I give them a ton of food. That way I can at least squeeze in like 5, 6, 7 hours straight of sleep. Sometimes they wake me up because they want to eat, and I'll feed them again, and then I'll go back to sleep and wake up, for my alarm clock. But I'm really pushing, right? That means I have to be disciplined and make sure that late at night I'm not up, doing podcasts or something. Like right now, I'm shooting this one late. It's 8:30 p.m. on the 27th of July. Normally I shoot it earlier, but I just had a really jam-packed day. But I'm not going to be shooting this at 10 p.m. and compromising my sleep. But that requires in the rest of my day to be disciplined, right? So everything that you do outside of it affects what you're doing. And this is where all of these things tie in to you increasing your efficiency and doing what it is that you're supposed to do. So this subject is extremely important. And I really encourage you right now to go through what you're doing with the magnifying glass outside. I want you to look exclusively right now outside of your business or your sport or whatever it is that you're really focused on right now and that you're thinking about as you listen to this podcast. Because that's where you need to look, right? It may be one person that you have in your life that just saps your energy because they bring negative emotions to you on a daily basis, and you need to limit or cut off contact with them. And that can cause this change for you, right? It could be maybe you stay up too late. Maybe you bullshit too much on Netflix. Maybe you need to stop playing video games so much. Maybe you need to drop the sodas. You drink too much sodas. Maybe you need to stop drinking every week. Drinking every weekend, if you do it, it's just on the weekend. It's bad. Same thing with the people, I do cheat meals once or twice a week. That's still bad. You don't need to cheat on your meals. How about you eat a well-rounded diet that doesn't require you to cheat? Right? We're now justifying to poison ourselves. Right? Now, again, you want to do the cheat meal, the fucking alcohol, whatever. But again, do not frame it as if it's right. It's not. Just say, hey, I'm drinking alcohol and I'm making the choice. Cool. Then we can respect it. But when you try to say it's healthy, it's not. Right? Gorging yourself with calories and junk food is never under any circumstance good. Right? We have to call a spade a spade. But see, if you, like with me, that used to be a problem. A lot of that stuff used to be a problem, but I fucking fixed it. I did whatever it took to fix it. Why? Because now, at an older age, I'm able to do what younger people can't do and do it better. I'm able to have more energy throughout the day, not have to take naps. I don't drink fucking caffeine or take caffeine, and I have abundant energy. So much so that a chunk and portion of the internet thinks I'm on fucking drugs. And for those of you who have been around long enough, either the thought has crossed your mind or you've seen some other dumbass say that shit. Right? Pretty funny. It's so out of the ordinary for people. There can't be a legitimate or reasonable explanation. It has to be something crazy. But when you're that sharp and dedicated, this is the result that you get. And it's the same thing. I go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and take a look. What do I need to cut out? Remember what I told you? I might have mentioned this on the last podcast or at some point. I can't remember. Damn, I used to fucking play video games way too much. But I said, hey, that's even affecting my career and the other stuff that I'm doing. So I cut it out. And then when I transitioned into real estate, I said, I will not touch a video game until I set the criteria, a certain amount of money, right? I'm in a certain place. And I think I went at least 3 or 4 years before I ever touched a video game again, even for a second. And then when I decided to play it, I was just like, after like 5 minutes, I'm like, what am I doing? This doesn't even hold my attention anymore. Now, do I play every once in a while? Sure. But if you added up that time over a year, I don't think over a year I play more than a couple hours in a year. So you do the math on what that breaks down to per day, per month, per quarter, right? But see, I had to go through. And at the time, it was difficult for me to stop playing games because I wanted to play. But I made the choice and I made the decision. That's it. Because this is going to benefit me. I'm either going to continue this behavior that I really know is detrimental and cause havoc down the road, or I'm going to change what I need to change. I'm going to get to sleep early. Before, same shit as you. I'm not a morning person, never was. But guess what? The moment I made the decision, I was up at 5:15 every single day for years straight. Never complained. Why? The top successful people did it. I said, until this is ingrained in me, I need to fucking do it. And I did it. Now, the time that I worked in my business after waking up early was benefited by that. Because I easily could have said, well, I don't start working until 8, so I could just wake up at 7:30, wipe off my eye boogers, take a quick shower, and get ready and go. No, but it's much better to wake up earlier, read, work out, do a bunch of extra stuff, and get ahead. And then by 8, I'm already have momentum. That's much better. I know from experience. I don't care what justification comes after. Well, I'm just not a morning person and I'm not going to do it. And that's not me. I just modeled after success. Now, do you have to do that forever? No, but there's a rhyme and a reason to doing it. And you having an outright refusal to even do it, even though you want to model after success, in that case, you're being delusional and you're only hurting yourself by doing it. Who says you have to do it forever? But do it. Do it. Then let it go. Do I have to wake up at 5 now? No, but I still pretty much wake up at 6 every day. And I enjoy it. And my ass is not getting to sleep super late. I don't go to sleep at 12 or 1 or 2 and wake up at 6. And I'm a cool guy. I only get 3 hours of sleep. I wouldn't be able to function. I demand so much of myself mentally and especially physically. I wouldn't be able to do 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So I need to be responsible. I can't be going out and fucking clubbing every night and doing all those things and drinking and not recovering. My physical well-being and prowess is much more important to me than all that other nonsense that I just named. Because if we're going to go back to calisthenics, I made the commitment. I'm going to be a badass. All the shit you see them do, planche and front lever and all those crazy moves, I'm going to be doing them. November will be 1 year that I've been doing it. So we've been doing about 8 or 9 months. And I've made some pretty amazing progress in a lot of these moves. So I think within a year and a half total, I will have gone from 0 to probably being able to do most of these moves. Maybe not like the guys you see on video that have been doing it for 10 years, but I'll be able to do them and execute at least the basics of those more advanced moves. But that's a commitment. So I know, hey, I'm in this for the long haul. Therefore, everything I do outside of the moments that I train has to be razor sharp. And I love that. Why? Because then you get the result that you want. The highest esteem, the highest rewards, the highest everything comes to those who master this piece. It's the same concept that when I've said for years, what are you doing when nobody's looking and paying attention? When you're not at the office around everybody, when the camera's off, what are you doing? Because anybody can get on the camera and bullshit for 10, 15, 20 minutes. But what are they doing the other 23 hours and 45 minutes? Because if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, it becomes clear over time. People lie, numbers don't. The results will always show. If I'd been bullshitting for 10 years, I wouldn't have advanced and progressed in every category in my life as much as I have. And you've been witnessing it. And I've been showing it to you and saying that I'm going to do it. So obviously off camera, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And the longer I last and the more consistent I am, the more it keeps proving itself over and over and over. This is why when I tell people to like check out my stuff and get on my coaching and all that stuff, dude, I don't just say that. It would behoove you to at least consider it because of the longevity and the track record. Right? And I keep doing it, and I'll continue doing it, right? Because again, I practice what I preach. So whether it was me improving in boxing, now doing the calisthenics, taking my real estate team nationwide, right? And really now becoming more diversified as an investor and scaling my businesses or whatever, whatever else I got to do. Hey, all the stuff I've been doing when I'm not doing that thing is what has led to the success, right? Because all the other stuff is so focused on what we do, which is great. Master that, but then everything else outside of that, master it, because it's just as much time, if not way more. Like the person who wants to be sharp at the job, but then when they're not at their job, they don't want to read and better themselves and do all those like foundational things to get better and change the people around them and improve their self-talk and improve their communication and really work on understanding their emotions and getting down to the root of their identity and values and beliefs and recategorizing them and challenging their own beliefs and philosophies on life to see if there's something better that they can upgrade to. All those things, you better be doing them. And all that stuff happens when you're not working. How you respond on the job is going to be based on what you do and how you live when you're not on the job. Right? Listen to that again. The reactions and how you respond on the job is formulated and created based on how you live and what you do when you're not on the job. And when I say on the job, again, it could be whatever you do, whatever you want to get better in, whatever you're focused on. It doesn't have to be a job or your career. So pay attention to this stuff and create a battle plan, guys. Be very purposeful with this stuff. What are you doing when no one's looking? What are you doing when you're not on the job? And you need to be very real, raw, and honest with yourself to see what needs to be shifted. Because everybody, regardless of the level that you're at, you can improve. And I go through this every week with myself. What do I need to improve? Am I falling into any maybe innocent but bad habits? What can be improved on? What am I doing well? Because you also have to acknowledge yourself and give yourself credit for what you are doing well, right? And I guarantee you at whatever level, even if you feel like you're a fuck up right now, I guarantee you're doing some things right and you need to give yourself credit, right? You can't just keep bashing yourself. Just as much as you need to become your biggest critic, and most of you are, you also need to become and be your biggest supporter and praiser and fan. Right? They flip that dynamic on you. They've said it's okay for you to shit on yourself, but it's not okay for you to talk yourself up. It's BS. That's a recipe for disaster. That's how you create a bunch of unbalanced, unhappy people who criticize the shit out of themselves and they're in the dumps and in depression and sad all the time. And then they never can cheer themselves up or give themselves any credit. And they're always thinking from a self-image standpoint that they're garbage and they're not good enough. Society has perpetuated that with what they push and what they allow and what they don't allow. Because if I go and I say, I'm proud of myself, I'm told to get off my high horse. I'm told, hey, bro, getting a little too cocky and arrogant. Stupid. Don't pay attention to those fuckers. They don't know what they're talking about. They just parrot what other people tell them. Okay? So what are you doing when you're not on the job? That becomes the focus now. Because your homework now is to assess all those waking hours and even sleeping hours outside of that. What are you doing? What needs to be improved? What needs to change? And what needs to stay the same? And even what needs to stay the same, how can it get better? Because we can always get better. And most importantly, give yourself some credit for what you are doing right. Because at varying degrees, all of you are doing things right. And you need to acknowledge that. It's very, very important for your psyche. Okay? So that's it for this one, y'all. I appreciate you tuning in and listening. This is another episode of Supreme Being. Appreciate all the support and love we've been getting on the video platform on YouTube and also the audio, which is on every major podcast platform. Check out the new website. Make sure you get on the email list. For those of you really looking to step up, schedule your free strategy call at the link below. Get on our public Discord. And lastly, for those of you interested in eXp Realty, check out the Icon Ninjas offer that we have for you. All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.